Tom did let me know that he's got a super important appointment at Dark Horse today. So I'm going to be taking over. He asked me to come on and speak to everybody about prospecting, expireds and FSBOs mainly. So I'm going to run with that. You guys are welcome to jump in, ask any questions that you might have. Can somebody tell me, does Tom start off with wins or lender reports, maybe Pitt? Is there anything that you guys normally do before I take over?
No, just hop right in.
Just good to go.
Into it. Yep.
Okay, very, very cool. Well, I see some people that I know on here. It's awesome. I'm going to just give you really, really brief because I've been on here before and shared, and I don't want somebody to have to sit through my story again. But just briefly, the reason he probably asked me to do expires and FSBOs is that's kind of how I built my business in the beginning. I started 2010, 2011, something like that, many years ago, a long time ago. And expireds was about the only thing I known. Our brokerage at the time told us to go do floor time and some things that just weren't working for us. So I started with that stuff. I will tell you, if anybody's going to have to go in there now that the market has kind of shifted a little bit and we're finding that it's taken a lot more effort to get the same amount of business, and you're newer to it, I will tell you, you don't have to be great at it to begin. In fact, I train people all the time on prospecting and lead generation, and I've yet to see somebody as bad as I used to be when I first started. So there is totally hope. I was absolutely horrid at making calls. Sticking with it long enough, what I am is stubborn, and I did it long enough to be able to get better at it. And I'm going to share some of the things that made me better with it so that hopefully it'll help some of you guys. So I started off with expireds first. The way that I found them, is anybody not calling expireds or FSBOs on here? A few. Okay, good. So then I'll run. Oh, awesome. Oh, wow. Well, so first of all, I'm going to share. This is the easiest, by the way. This is the easiest way to get listings. For encouragement, Brent Gove needed a team for a brand new agent, just got licensed. He put him on our team probably 7 to 10 days ago. He made 98 dials. He's had 7 conversations, about 2 hours of talk time. He set 4 appointments and he has his first listing. So it's low-hanging fruit. It's very, very easy to do. So I'm excited to see that some of you haven't tried it yet. So hopefully you'll go out and make some dials today. Where to get them from? I had no money when I started, so I didn't have RedX and some of the tools that I have now. So I would go to the MLS just about midnight, 12:05, something like that. You'll get the fresh expireds for the night. I know a lot of people don't want to stay up till midnight. I really wanted to be good at real estate, so I would stay up until midnight. I would wait for that list with excitement. And then I didn't have, like I said, RedX and stuff. So I would Google search I'd go to the APN, get the property owner's name, and I would search on the internet, random search, wherever I could get phone numbers. I'd get a list of 10 to 15 phone numbers. Most of them are bad. And I would call through those starting at 7:30 in the morning every morning. And I would just call through over and over again until I got them. So the list now, I mean, it's so much easier to get. In fact, you guys probably have, I know some of you have that stuff given to you within probably Atomic Habits or the group. Tom's pretty good about sharing resources. So you guys can probably get those very easily. So with, I'll get into kind of what I say and stuff, because I know if you're brand new, that's your focus. You think it's very important to know exactly what to say and get it all perfect. It's not really that. I'll help you with that part too. But from the list, sit down, make the calls. The important part of it is, for me, the success was built in showing up every single day and doing it over and over again. I had nothing else to do. There was no other real estate business going on. So I had time. I just didn't have money. So with prospecting time, when I would set up in the morning at 7:30, this is the most important part. And I know it's true because I had slumps along my career, and I would record some of my calls. And I know when I didn't do this one thing, my calls went terrible. In fact, I was already making like $300,000 a year, and I went like 2 months without getting any business at all. And it was all me. I started recording my calls in the mornings, and I found that because I was doing so poorly and I was in this rut, that my conversations with the client on the other end of the phone were absolutely terrible. There was so much desperation coming out of me because I had that pressure with the family to pay the bills, to try to close the deal, that I was I coming across as a sleazy salesperson, and that's not who I am at heart. So when I seen that on video, after being a little bit disgusted with myself, I could see the problem. I could say, like, that's not you. That's not how you're supposed to act. And then I can study the tape and say, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to try to help the next person on the phone. I don't care if I get a transaction. I just want to get back to the way I used to be. And it wasn't but a day or so that I was already setting appointments again. So this is important, even though it may not seem it, is to be in the right state. And a little tip that I have for you to get in the right state is to call somebody you love. Call without a purpose, a friend. A lot of times I would call my mom because my mom knows how good I am at everything and she loves me and she thinks I'm the best. So I would call mom, like mom's a real good one, or one of my best friends, and just have a good conversation. That little thing, having a good conversation, not about real estate, really puts you in a good place where you can actually call and be of service to the person other end of the phone. I'm gonna teach you some things to do that today as well, but it is so important. The next thing is to, like, for me, I was poor, and when I wore a suit jacket, I felt not poor. I know that's kind of stupid, but I would put on the suit jacket, and then I felt like, okay, now I'm the man. I just felt better about myself entirely. And that might be silly, but you'll see a lot of people do that. Like Bo Jackson would be a whole nother character when he would go on to the field to play. Or David Goggins, is Goggins when he needs to be aggressive. Like there's something to being that alter ego of yourself. So if there's something that makes you feel better, some people it's just setting up straight. It's in the posture, whatever that is, you have to identify it so that you can come from a good space and really be present with the person on the other end of the phone. The consistency is controlled by the calendar. Prospecting is a part of your job going forward, especially right now. Like you can't just have things falling into your lap like there were before. If you came on in the last 2 or 3 years, I'm not going to say it was easy because I know it's always hard when you're starting out, but the opportunity was much bigger back then. Everybody had, interest rates were so low, like it was a financial mistake not to buy a home if you had the ability. So it's not bad or good. It's just different right now. And with the consistent action over and over again, you're going to get results. Like showing you with Kyle there, brand new, not the most skilled person, but consistently showing up. We know if you do about 100 dials, and with expireds, like it was way less for me, and I'm hoping it'll be way less for you. Like internet leads are the worst, and if you dial 100 of them, you're going to get an appointment. If you have the conversations, that's a little bit of follow up. So I'm going to ask that if you're not using your calendar and booking in your time for prospecting, it's something you really should be doing going forward if you're serious about this business. I know that's for those of you that's not using it, it sounds stupid, but it's very important. I actually fought my coach for 3.5 years before I actually started sticking to that calendar. When I did, I was able to identify, the time wasting stuff that I was doing and really be able to move the needle forward. So with your calendar, I'm not all about business. I have like so many kids and so many things to do. Like the first thing I'm going to put in there is the stuff that's important to me. That's, church on Sunday morning, scripture study in the morning, date nights with the wife. Every single day I do an hour of no phone, uninterrupted play with my youngest son who's 8 doing whatever he wants to do, even if it's video games. Those are the most important things. If for nothing else, start using a calendar so that you make sure that your family and the things that are important to you are getting your attention first. Then put in your business around it. Put in your vacations even for like the vacations you want to take a year, all that stuff first, then put in your business. That way there's no excuse for not being able to prospect. Because if you don't prospect right now, I really believe you don't put in that two hours a day prospecting. I honestly believe you're going to put in 8 hours a day for somebody else eventually. Like it's one or the other. I would much rather see you build a business for yourself that provides a great lifestyle for you with less time. It's scary to be managing yourself for some people starting out, but it gets so much easier if you'll just do it long enough to give yourself a chance to succeed. Excuse me. Okay, scripts. I've never been a fan of scripts. I know it sounds robotic when you do a script at first. It sounds awkward and it's terrible. The way I use scripts is to get a direction. Like I got to get some information from the client if I'm really going to be able to figure out what their problem is and how to solve it. So using the scripts, and there's so many available. I have a bunch. Tom, I'm sure, has a ton. Help you get familiar with carrying a conversation a certain way and then coming back. If you want scripts, let me know. I'll get them to you. What I use now for our team is an acronym that I learned recently that helps get everything lined up for you. And like they just keep it right next to their laptop when they're dialing, and it's LP Mama, and it covers everything that you want to get out of a conversation and leads you with an appointment at the end, even if that appointment's for follow-up. A lot of people aren't ready to go right away. They're waiting for something. And if that's truly the case, we'll talk about how to find out. Then this is a little guideline that'll help you remember to bring the conversation back to what you're trying to do, and it makes your conversations faster too. LP Mama stands for location, price, motivation, agent, mortgage, and appointment. I'll go through each one of those with you. It's something I've always done through the scripts, but when you get into an expired or a FSBO, the client, and they should, is going to take the conversation all over the place. And then our job is to build rapport with them, stay in agreement and in alignment, and then bring them back to those questions over and over again so that we get them all out. Get them in your CRM for follow-up and everything else. Keep your notes right in front of you. So with location, when we get somebody that, for an expired or FSBO, we have the location. For internet leads, we need to know where they need to be. With expireds, you already have the location, you know the property, you just want to confirm it. So if I'm calling an expired, hey, I've seen that you had 123 Main Street for sale or whatever. You have that part of it. Internet leads, we want to ask them, hey, it looks like you were inquiring on properties in the Greenhaven area. Are you open to other areas as well? Don't ask them, like lock them into a place. Ask them if they're open to something else too. Because a lot of times somebody wants, I want an acre of land to shop a house and I want it under $300,000. Like, we can't do that here. In fact, I don't know if we can do that anywhere anymore, but we need that location out. The next one is the price, and not asking them. How we ask them is important. So first of all, I want to know, I seen you were shopping in this certain price range, maybe it's $350 or whatever. Do you need to stay in that price range, or is there room in the budget to go up? Ask them specifically. No, don't ask them specifically for a dollar amount yet. The motivation, do I have time to find you what you're looking for, or are you in a hurry to move? Those kind of things. Agent, are you currently working with an agent? Is another agent helping you find properties as well? Mortgage, are you going to pay cash for this property, or are you going to choose to get a loan? Have you spoken with Pitt yet? And then the appointment based on the conversation is simply just, we want to invite them to do the next thing. If we know that it takes multiple touches to convert a client, then we want to set the expectation. If it's, I'm just shopping for now, and we're getting through those objections, we'll talk about those in a minute. Then we want to, great, I want to make sure you're seeing what you're looking for. When's a good time for me to check in on the list that I'm giving you so that I can adjust those for you? Objections, as we start calling FSBOs and expireds specifically, you're going to get the same exact objections over and over again. And most of the new agents that are doing this, like I see that they tend to try to avoid the conversation, the questions that are going to drag out the objections, where somebody that's been doing this for a while is always trying to find those. And the reason being is once you can find their objections, you really get a chance to get on their side. So, for example, when I call expireds, one of the most common ones I get is that you're the 10th person to call me. You're the 17th person to call me. So instead of trying to dodge that, you want to agree with that. And right when you would start agreeing with them and getting on their side, it's so easy to turn a conversation. For example, I should just let you guys do it. But so, for example, I get that, hey, you're the 17th person to call me. They're outraged. So I need to match their energy, right? I'm outraged too. I'm like, what? You've got 17 calls today? That's ridiculous. What are they saying to you? I have a buyer for your house and blah, 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 blah. Okay. So they had a buyer, but they didn't bring it when it was on the market. That doesn't make any sense to me. Well, it doesn't make any sense to me either. So we're going to align ourselves with them, feel their pain, and not push back on them. Now I'm on their side with the whole entire call. So they're telling you that they have buyers for your house. They didn't bring it when it was on the market. That doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me either. Well, I can stop these calls for you by putting a sign in your yard. Not that direct, but I'm just saying, like, once you're on their side, then you have alignment. FSBOs, the pushback is like, I'm not paying a commission. Great, I don't want you to pay a commission. When I do a FSBO, I'll just tell you what we do with those. I'm going to call a FSBO and I'm going to ask them, hey, it looks like you're selling 123 Main Street. Is that still for sale? Yes. How much is it? It's 500,000. Great. I've got buyers in my database looking for 3-bedroom, 2 baths that are qualified for 500,000. What's the least amount you will take for that property? Well, I'm not taking any less than 500. Okay. No matter what, you're not taking less than 500. Well, I might take 490. Okay, great. So I'm going to let all my buyers that are qualified for 500 and above know about this property. I'm going to let my buyers 490 just in case. If I have buyers qualified at 485, should I even tell them about your home? Just wait for them. What I'm doing is I'm giving them a chance to reduce the price. It's pretty simple, and most of them will do it. If I can get them to 485, I've got $15,000 in there. That's one side of the commission already done. Then all I have to do is just to say, would you be open to me bringing out my camera, taking some pictures of the house so that I can build a marketing package to share with my prospective buyers? If I don't have a good marketing package, they're never even going to take a look at it. If I did that, if I could do that, would you allow me to come out to do that? Great. Would it be okay if I brought out a disclosure packet? If you don't understand disclosures, you put yourself at risk for liability. I'm going to make sure when I come out, since you're letting me do this, that I teach you about disclosures so you can protect yourself. Now I have an invite to go out to the house. I have a little bit of leverage to show them that, hey, doing this by yourself is stupid. You out negotiated yourself already with $15,000. You already built in my commission. So it's very easy to move expireds. I did this live in a training for our agents, and that person called me for 3 days trying to get me to list their house, and I didn't do FSBOs anymore at that time. It's just pretty simple to do. Okay, objections. We practice objections in our office on our team. We have objection battles. The practice time that you have should exceed your screen time on Facebook. So if you want pro money, you got to have pro practice, right? We practice these objections by simply taking one at a time. Somebody will throw one out, and then the other person responds. It's very simple. It helps you get used to the few objections that you get, and it's very good for elevating your skill level real fast. You can do this with a partner within the group. We do it, with our team, but it is very, very powerful. We had Brittany did her first objection battle, went straight into the office, started dialing, got her very first expired. It's super helpful. I would encourage you guys to do some practicing. I talked about objections, tracking your calls. If you're not putting in the effort, you're not getting your 100 dials, you can't expect to get a listing. If you are putting in your 100 dials and you're still not getting a listing, then it's a skill set. So then you can sit down and work on the skill set with somebody that's a little more skilled. the call that I did with the suit jacket where I told you, I wasn't hitting anything anymore, and I went dry for all those months. If I didn't review the tape, I would have never known that I was coming off so desperate. So I don't know if you have the ability in KV Core to record your calls, but you could do it with a simple tripod and a cell phone camera if you wanted to. Okay. Does everybody know where to find FSBOs and expireds? I get that if you go on the MLS, there's the little pie chart. All the expireds pop up every single day. You can just click on that and get your list together. If you have Red X, you put those in, they come up. FSBOs, I would go to Zillow or something like that. They have their own little section. You can pull up a list of FSBOs. There's videos that you can watch for different scripts. Russ has some really good scripts for FSBOs as well. Those are really good. Lead generation, I wanted to give you guys a list of like some of the tools that we use for lead generation, like paid sources, in case some of you guys are at a point where you can pay for them. We use realty.com and Zillow as our primary one. And then we use, all the free referral ones like the USDA or whatever they are. The success that we have comes from managing the database. So every single person that we get, expired FSBO, internet lead, or whatever, goes into a database. And then our system is we call each lead untouched. We call them 10 times until we get or 10 days in a row. If we don't get a hold of them, then we move it out to 2 weeks and we stick to automated text and emails. And then we manage our tasks so that we make sure that we're hitting each lead 25 to 30 times. So I don't know. Okay, let me open it up for questions. You guys have any questions or want to go over any scripts, or how can I help you guys with it now?
Steve, I have a quick question on the 10 calls. I do something similar. My question is, do you leave voicemails on each one of those 10 calls in a row, or is there a rhythm to that?
No, we don't leave voicemails and this is the way we do it. Like I've had people say they've had success leaving voicemails, but we don't.
Yeah.
So we call, if we don't get a hold of them, there's no voicemail. There's a follow-up text that goes out saying, "Hey, I missed you on the phone, and this is what we're trying to do." All of our tasks are actually built out. So I'm quite a bit of a copycat. Veronica Figueroa out of Orlando, her team's very successful with follow-up. So we just took their task list and put it into our follow-up boss.
Okay.
They already fixed it, but yeah, no voicemails for us.
Would it be impossible for you to share that task list with us?
I'll ask my operation guy how to do that because I don't know. I know it was shared with us, and he took it and put it right into our system, so I know it's possible. I just don't know how to do it. But I'm happy to do whatever I can.
And for me, that's the overwhelming part. I didn't know there needs to be a system. I don't use follow-up boss. I use a different system, but if those can be, saved and shared, that would be a tremendous help for me.
Yeah, it was for us. I mean, because then we didn't have to recreate it. So I just put my phone number in the chat. If you can grab that and send me a text asking for that, I'll send it over to our operations guy and have him figure out how to do that. And then I'll get it out to you, and then I'll send it to Tom as well in case anybody else wants it. Are you using KV Core?
I'm using by referral only, which is Joe Stump, kind of Brian Buffini style.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Any other questions I can help with?
Steve, you mind if I summarize, I think, what I heard?
Yeah, Pitt, how you doing?
I'm doing great. So I love it. So, you guys, I don't call listings and expires, but we make calls on the mortgage side. So, the state of mind, calling your mom and getting yourself worked up to be in a good state of mind. I agree with that 100%. And then something that struck with me, you said, be of service. And I know you, Steve, you're of service. How can I help? You're all about helping. And that's what these people need. They're wounded. Their house hasn't sold. They really want it to sell. And then you came up with your LP Mama, which was Well, something price. Help me on the LP mom. I didn't get that all the way.
Yeah, it's location, price, motivation, agent, mortgage, and appointment.
Love it. Love it. All right. And then the next thing you do is you use the Tom Daves in you. You seeked out the objection. You looked for the objection and you actually embraced, because if you get an objection, now you've got something. Now if you could just solve that, life is easy, right? And I love the way that you disarm them. And then the last thing was, a pro player in any sport practices a lot more than they play the game. They practice a lot more than they play the game. So thanks, Steve.
Yeah, thank you for the summary. That's good. Yeah, the seeking the objection thing took me a long time to figure out. I thought I could say something clever or, trick them into buying a house, but it doesn't work that you can actually trick people into buying houses. And right now the go-to objection so popular for buyers is, oh, but the interest rates, like I just can't with the interest rates. And, I feel that like I have a house that I'd love to sell, but the interest is, under 3%. And it's not the type of house I want to rent. So it's just sitting there while I'm still deciding. But when you ask somebody what they're waiting for, if you go deeper with it, man, you'll find out they have no freaking clue. Okay, yeah, I would never buy a house right now at 8%. I totally agree. What are you waiting for it to drop to? They have no idea. They get stuck. They're like, not 8. Well, okay, so what? What would be that number? Well, 3%. What if we never see that again? Are you prepared to pay 100% rent for the rest of your life? Like, would you be open to buying it at 5? Well, yeah, at 5 I might buy it. Well, that's awesome. So if it gets to 5, I'm going to call you and we're going to jump up. Do you have cash saved up? Because we know if it hits 5, we know it's going to happen. It's been proved. Like, people are going to be paying over asking. Every buyer that's waiting that doesn't want to pay 8 is going to be fighting for the same house. So let's make sure we get a cash saved up. How much do you think you need to save up? 20,000, 25,000, 30,000? Well, yeah, that sounds about right. Well, how much have you saved up so far in the last 10 years that you've been working for Caltrans? Well, I haven't really saved up any money. Okay, so would it make sense to maybe jump in and buy something when we get a nice drop to 7 and then refi when it gets to 5 so you don't have to pay over asking? Great. Help them get to the conclusion that they're making. You guys know they're making a mistake if they're just going to pay rent forever. Like, you wouldn't do it, right? So help them get clear on what they're actually waiting for. If the objection is, I'm waiting for the market to crash, me too. I'm going to be buying up houses. I always agree. Like that's awesome. If it drops, then we get to buy houses again. It's going to be so much fun. It was so great in 2012 and 13. I wish I had more money to buy houses. What are you waiting for it to crash to? How low does it need to go? What are we talking? A 10% drop, 20% drop? When should I call you next? When do we need to be prepared to jump in action and jump on what you want to do? Like, get in alignment with the people so that they can know you're on their team and not just out to make a sell. All right. Any other questions? Jackie.
Yeah. So thank you also. I think that was Eric that shared that link in the chat box. It's Tom's kind of LP mama for working with buyers, which is so helpful. So how would you restructure this for LP mama for a FSBO? And you already know their location and you kind of already know the price they're looking for, but how would you script this out or, better for a FSBO?
So for a FSBO and expired, they're so much easier. Like, you got all that information already, right? But I need to know the motivation. Are you still motivated to sell? Why are you selling it by yourself? Is it just to not pay a commission? Well, so now if I get that objection, then I can solve it for them. If it's commission, then and they want it 500,000 for the house, what if we make it just 515? What if we make it 530? Is that possible with their price? I don't know. But then I have the piece that I need for that. The other thing is motivation. We got another motivation. Are they planning on working with an agent, or when? If this doesn't sell, at what point are you going to interview an agent? Appointment. Like, how can I get it in to meet them face to face? Our success rate goes up if we can meet them face to face, right? So as far as the script, the only script I use is the one where I want to identify where they're at, what's the lowest they're going to take, would they be open to somebody slightly under that coming in to look at the property too? So that's the line I use in FSBOs. It works really, really well. FSBOs, they want help. They need to sell. Right now, they're not going to sell. Like, they got no marketing, no exposure, no nothing. And then you got a whole pool of buyers that are afraid to work with for sell by owners because they don't trust the process. They want somebody representing them and don't even know, right? So I just need that information out of them. How much flexibility do I have in price? What's their motivation? And then where are they going to go next? Sometimes they're going to sell that house to buy something else. And then there's a way that I can get paid with the whole package, on the buy side and the sell side. If they don't want to pay a commission here, am I going to make enough money between the two to make this thing work?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. I worked with lots of FSBOs in my first and second year of real estate. And I do remember, and I loved your comment of, agree with them. Really, that is so powerful. Agree with them on their objection. And I do remember one phrase I used a lot, which was very effective, is, I'm definitely not like most realtors. And so I really appreciate your stance on that, because you got to get on their side. Because when you call a FSBO, you're the enemy. You are the enemy.
Exactly. But Jackie, at the same time, like, you've worked with enough realtors to know that there's some really bad ones, right? Like, we love realtors as an industry, but there are some bad ones. And it only takes you working with one bad realtor as a seller to have, a major wound where you don't want to work with them anymore. So it's okay to agree with those. So you don't have to hate all realtors, but I get it. Yeah. I've worked with some that I don't even want to talk
some
to.
rough ones. Yeah.
I don't know how I didn't punch that one. Yeah. Patrick.
Just tactically, when you're calling through these lists, do you do any type of prior research before you make the dial, or do you just let the dialer go and you just figure it out once they pick up?
So that's a transition that you make over time. So when I first started, I wanted the property in front of me. Because what if they asked me a question, like, I did do that, and I felt a real need to do that. And I don't know if I'd done it differently in the beginning that I would have got to where I am now. So I'm not going to say don't, but now I don't care. It's all the same, after you do it so many times, and you seem like you've done it for a minute. You seem to have a good understanding of it. But after you've done it for a while, the objections, the properties, they're all the same. It doesn't really matter. So I don't do that anymore, but I'm not going to say don't do it in the beginning, because I did in the beginning. It made me feel more confident knowing the properties.
Yeah, because I find myself talking myself out of calling them, where I just go, they're so out of lunch on their price. And, it's in a place I don't even want to work. But if I just call it, sometimes it works out anyway. So
it really does. Yeah. And I would do the same thing. Back to the beginning, I would have not called places where, well, I don't really do that area, or that.
Yeah. It looks like Steve froze. Is he frozen on your screen, everybody?
It was the golden nugget too. It was the million.
I know.
It's right there. You call these 3 people, you're making millions next year.
Yeah, I mean, while he's unfreezing, I could share too, guys. I don't know. I'm thinking FSBOs and expireds is a great market to if you haven't stepped into it yet, to step into it, because houses are so much harder to sell now, and FSBOs are facing the same thing, right? And expireds are facing the same thing. And so, I did FSBOs for my first 2 years, and then stepped out of that pillar of business. And, but yeah, I closed 10 in my first year, and I knew nothing, and I was awful at it. So anyway.
Sounds pretty good to me. 10 sounds great.
Yeah. 10 listings. I can't hear you, Kyle. What'd you say?
10 would be great.
Yeah. And you guys, I was like awful at it. If you guys want to hear, I'll tell you if we have a few minutes, or maybe we need to stop. It's about over. Oh, actually the professional is on back with us. So Steve, take it away. Oh no.
Oh no, he froze again.
Well, guys, if you want to know how to do it horribly and get 10 listings, this is what I did. I just popped on Zillow. And Zillow, if you create, I know I hate Zillow, and this is the only reason I used it, is I hopped on Zillow. I called around my area, all the new Zillow for sale by owners, and it would turn it green once you clicked on it, and I'd call them. And then one thing you got to realize is it's the 50% of all FSBOs will list within 2 weeks. So it's which agent is standing in the end is who they're going to list with. But you don't know which 50% are going to list. And the other thing I think I just knew that they're a tough animal because they are, you really are their enemy. And when you call and say, I'm an agent, they're like, they're just screaming at you. But it was just who's staying in the game. I mean, day one, they're probably getting 50, 60. Just imagine they're a FSBO. They're going to sell their house. They know what to do. And they put it online. And then they're like, I'm going to get all these calls from buyers. And all their calls are agents. And you're one of them. And so they're pretty frustrated. But it's basically, they'll get 50, 60 calls the first day, 40, 50 the second day, 20, 30 the third day, 10 to 20. And so, you might call them and they're just awful people. I remember one I wrote on the top of my notes for him. I just big jerk. And I called him 2 weeks or 1 week later, got an appointment, and I listed his house and he was nicer. So you just got to understand, you got to get on their side. And so that was awesome what he shared. But yeah, I said about 2 appointments every single day, dialed, actually not 100. I just got better at it. And then I was able to produce that in the end. So anyway, well, we've gone over.
Guys, Steve just texted me. He's his internet is obviously not working well, but it's apparently down. But he did want me to say thank you to everybody for taking part in the call today. Unless Jackie, you can, if you have any more to say, please feel free to.
I mean, let's go do it, you guys. It's a great time to jump into FSBOs if you haven't already, and expireds. I appreciate his expertise on expired because I don't have that kind of expertise on that, but it's a great opportunity. So I mean, we've gone over, guys. Thanks so much for joining. And I think we're good.
Right.
But download this document in the chat box. It's a great help.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Talk to you later.
Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.